Tower out 34, I got bad news.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to have to close runway 10 left.
He doesn't know it now, but my dad is in for a long day despite the short flight to LaGuardia today. Here at the Palm Beach airport, he's all smiles. Why? Where is he taking us today?
We're going to LaGuardia.
But even though he takes this route often and I take this route often, every single flight is going to be different. And today, it's going to be really different. I am not going to LaGuardia, but I'll be tracking the flight the whole time. And with you here in the audience, you'll see the results of me following the flight with my dad filming and experiencing today's anomalies. I'll be flying the same route a few days later and will provide a whole different story, but for now, it's time for my dad to fly. And to get there, he needs to stop by the Delta counter to drop off a bag, and then he can head over to the airside.
I'm going to go through TSA. Come with me to LaGuardia.
November 3755 Delta is a 25-year-old Boeing 737-800 which has been in service with Delta Airlines its entire career. It's seen here in its current livery, but it's been through a few different paint schemes, including the SkyTeam special colors in the 2010s. Here it is inbound from LaGuardia, headed to the gate, where it will spend about an hour on the ground for its on-time departure to LaGuardia. Well, it's supposed to spend an hour on the ground, but as you can probably tell, there are going to be issues which will cause the plane to have a much longer stay here at PBI. Now, if you look up at the sky, it looks like a pretty decent day in South Florida, but one thing I've always learned is that weather systems can occur at any time, even if they're not in the long-term forecast. Even though the airline had intentions of being on time for this New York City-bound flight, it won't happen. And the weather is going to be the reason for the start of the delays today. Yes, the start. This flight will be delayed, but all my dad is thinking about right now is his strategic seat selection on the right side of the plane, because LaGuardia is landing on runway 22 and departing on runway 13, which means that this plane will pass west of LaGuardia on the downwind leg, hopefully affording a view of Manhattan on the right side of the plane. This is called idealism. But once he got on board, it started to rain all of a sudden.
Slight delay now. It started to rain with some lightning, so the ramp has been closed for safety reasons, and there's still some baggage to be loaded on the aircraft. So we'll be getting away pretty soon, but as soon as it clears up.
These ground workers need to clear the ramp and wait out the storm in a safe place. It's 3:32 p.m., the scheduled departure time, and all passengers are on board, but things are not looking good out in the airfield. Out where the action is, there's wind shear. I'll let you listen into what's going on the runways, but the transmissions are of poor quality, but it will give you a sense of the really bad weather that's coming into PBI at this time.
American 2227, and after the wind shear. You said negative? Negative, what was that? 10 left, wind shear, out, lost 1 mile departure coming from our equipment, just came on. We're going to have to clear the runway then. Wait 15 minutes. American 2027 cancel, turn the runway and back on to Charlie.
That American flight refused to take off because of the wind shear and had to get off the runway. But my dad's flight is now pushing back since the lightning stopped, and the wind shear won't last forever as all weather does improve. The pilot believes that by the time he gets to the runway, conditions will be ideal for takeoff. But it's too late. The rain and wind and lightning have caused physical damage on the departure runway, leading to an airport operations vehicle needing to close the runway.
Tower out 34, I got bad news.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to have to close runway 10 left with the raining of a placed lighting fixture here, but we will run up, and I'm going to make this out here right now.
Alrighty. 66 Bravo around, maintain 3000, turn left heading 70.
So the departure runway 10 left is now closed, the crosswind runway was already closed, and runway 10 right is way too short for airlines. So guess what? No large planes can land or take off now. Let's listen into ATC descriptions of the issue.
Background JetBlue 65 Charlie.
JetBlue 562 Palm Beach ground. Hold your Alpha 3 right now. Runway 10 left is indefinite. So for our jets, we don't have any to the plan. The light, the ground. I can't give frame. Alpha 2 either way. Light.
Reason for the runway?
There's a fixture out of the ground.
All right.
And 34. What's estimate? I know what you got to do. Just because we have inbounds. Just everybody.
We're trying to get a hold of our electrician right now. Here, I can't have any right now. Fix the payday minute.
I understand. Delta 838, the road 10 left is closed. Right now we have and maintain 1,000. Turn left 7.
Okay, and go around. 2 left 0 for curiosity's sake, 1432 is it?
No, run that 0 right is the only usable. Big run. One has a hole in it, the other one's NOTAM closed.
So that maintenance crew out there, they're working on the hole, is that what they're doing?
There's like five cars out there, but I still don't have the time.
Just see up the runway, then we could go.
You can just, you can't. It's easy. You need to go back to the gate, just hold there. It won't be a different left turn to get to the runway.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, drop 34.
And I know I keep back about 50. Wait, no.
I understand. Like, there's a gate right there. There's a tower. He's going to be coming out here to meet me, and I can give you a better. Kind of be up how quick he can get it repaired.
Say again?
I'll do that if you're
I have no idea. Everybody's no problem. They're saying that there's a hole in the runway, so it could be lightning, it could have been bad.
Gotcha. All right, we'll be approaching now.
There's a big hole. That's some light got knocked loose and created a hole. Exit 920, Grant.
Roger, be informed, and I didn't notice that the runway's closed.
Hey, Farmer, Yankee forecast from one runway open, runway 10 right.
Okay, 1 right is open. Gotcha. That's probably a concern. What's that, Jets? In time?
Do not have time. Update time 21:15, but it'll probably be past that. And Jets wait for you all part. Still only one. It's only for prop.
Sure wish one.
That'll be.
Hey, so is to some make or something?
Light apparently loose in big hole.
Wow. Okay. We'll keep it up. Thank you.
They're working on it now. Lighthouse was trying to explain one out there, so hopefully now I'm having kind of.
Thank you. That's more information than I.
Ground United Flight 2648.
You can get 26 on Beach Ground.
Our operations just at the close down. Is that our runway? Is it 10 left down for?
Daytime at 200. Only one we have open is 10 right. Only for up.
So is that straight at this moment? I mean, if we're ready to push back, is there time to go out and take, or is it stuck here at least until?
Please point Zulu. We have long run available. Point 2 next update. Not a opening time. Next time we'll have an update. 14 NOTAM closed construction, and there's a problem with a hole on the runway.
A hole in the runway. That's what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay, it was a light. So got it. A hole in the runway.
Light call.
Well, that's not what happened. We pulled back from the ramp after lightning delay. We're still holding on the ramp because there's some issue with the runway. The maintenance crew is out there looking at the runway. The APU is running. It's getting very warm in here right now. And so far we are delayed 1 hour. Keep you informed. This is more than I bargained for today. I look forward to sitting here. We're actually on the plane for an hour and a half, maybe close to 2 hours now from the time we boarded. The crew asked us to close our windows, those sitting on the right-hand side of the plane, so the sun doesn't come in because we're facing west. So, here we are. Windows closed. Okay, latest update. We are now returning to the gate. It looks like no one's landing here in West Palm Beach. There's some maintenance issue with the runway. Hopefully we can get off the plane and wait it out until they figure out what's wrong with the runway. Keep you informed.
Ground up 2396. Yeah, we're going to we're here and flip the 180, go back to Charlie.
All right, thanks. Good luck out there.
So it's back to the gate to sit it out in the terminal.
Okay, we all deplaned. We're back in the main terminal now. The scuttlebutt is that there's still maintenance issues. Someone said it may open up in 15 to 20 minutes. In the meantime, we're here trying to cool off because it's a hell of a hot plane sitting out there for 2 hours. We'll have to catch a sandwich to eat or something before we get back on. But let's keep our fingers crossed that we do get back on this plane tonight because I got to be in New York tomorrow. Just got an update. The runway will be open in 15 minutes, so we'll be able to reboard the aircraft. I've been delayed a lot of times in my life, but I've never been delayed for a clear, beautiful day with one thunderstorm and a maintenance issue for the runway. Don't really know what happened to that runway, but most of the planes that were supposed to land here actually now landed in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, or Orlando. So we have to stick close to the gate and waiting for the announcement to reboard. Thank you. Speak to you later. Wish us luck. Well, back on board for the second time. Recognized all of the flight crew. They were staying with us, obviously. We deplaned for about 40 minutes, got a little snack to eat, some water, and now we're back on the plane. Same location as we were 3 hours, maybe 4 hours ago. And hopefully this will be the charm one. The runway has been opened. There's many diversions today. Planes were landing in Orlando, Miami, and Fort Lauderdale. And hopefully, well, they'll be back later tonight, but now we're on our way, hopefully the next 30 minutes or so. And of course, it's going to be a late arrival in New York City. But we'll keep you updated as to our progress. This is a very unusual delay for a maintenance issue on the runway. They're not telling us specifically what that runway maintenance issue was. Perhaps we'll find out in the flight. Anyway, I'll keep you updated, and thank you for paying attention. Right, we're back on board. As I mentioned earlier, pilot just told us they need more fuel because we wasted a lot of it. Also, they figured out why the cabin was so ferociously hot as we were out on the tarmac for 2 hours. We're now approaching 3 hours since we left the gate. We're at the gate once again. We should be leaving in a few minutes on our way to LaGuardia. And let's hope the runway issue is fixed.
The runway issue is fixed, and Delta 2396 has left the gate for its taxi to runway 10 left. Not only is his flight getting ready to take off, all of the inbound flights that were diverted to other Florida airports are now in their recovery flights back to PBI, so the controller at the airport is starting to get really busy with a bunch of heavily delayed flights scrambling to land and take off. Most delays are around 3 hours at this point. Sorry about the air traffic control transmission quality. The receivers today were picking up 2 frequencies at once, and at times they were cutting out at what seemed to be every other word. But for the pilots, of course, everything sounded just fine. Even with the rush of flights at this moment, I wasn't able to get taxi instructions to the runway, but the taxi was only 10 minutes. Delta 2396 was finally told to line up and wait on the now fixed runway 10 left.
10 left, line up and wait for a half mile.
10 left, 96.
So all that needs to be done at this point is wait for takeoff clearance on the 10,000-foot long runway. The controller will issue takeoff clearance as soon as the previous arrival, which just landed on runway 10 left, vacates the runway. There's also traffic on final approach to runway 10 left to the west of the airport, which needs to land. That flight is a recovery flight, which has been through enough, so we better be issued takeoff clearance right away to prevent that plane from going around. The plan after takeoff is to climb out runway heading and then make the standard left-hand turn to the northeast via the slides departure.
2310 takeoff.
Takeoff 1396.
Getting ready to roll finally.
Hey everybody, Peter Masella here. Would you like your name to appear in one of my videos? Well, don't forget to check out my Patreon. There's a link in the description below. The flight's now passing the exact spot where the hole was. In a hard-to-make-out transmission, this flight is now told to contact departure control.
Delta 239, take departure.
Okay, today.
It's now time to check in with departure control. Again, in broken transmissions, the 737 will be climbing up to 12,000 feet, and the controller will positively identify the aircraft on radar.
Hey, departure Delta 2396, I was to climb to 12,000.
Delta 26, departure to Ken.
This is a climb I personally have flown on countless times, and down below we can see the intercoastal waterway between the mainland and the barrier island. We're looking south here, and the seat selection on the right side of the plane is a result of the way the wind is blowing in New York City, which calls for a right traffic pattern to runway 22 this evening. Landing was scheduled for 6:19, but touchdown won't occur until 9 o'clock p.m., so it'll be a night approach to New York City. That was not part of the plan, but it is what it is. It's now time for the published left-hand turn to the northeast and the handoff to Miami Center.
Out of 26, contact 132.15.
25.39.
It's now time for a review of the snack service and seat pitch. Nope, not on this channel. We're all about the view out the window. But before we move forward, it's time for a message from the sponsor of today's video, Exter. Exter wallets come in a variety of shapes and sizes and colors. This one actually glows in the dark. With durable wallets and card holders, the value derived from Exter is unmatched. I always carry an Exter wallet with me, and I know I'll never lose it because I can add an air tag to it. Check out their site. They have lots of awesome products. And as a viewer of this channel, if you enter code MASELA at checkout, you'll save. Visit the link in the description below. Since the en route phase of flight was uneventful, we'll pick up on the approach to LaGuardia. Now, rather than full New York approach air traffic control transmissions, this time I'm going to provide key transmissions that are key to the Manhattan view. After all, seat selection was made on the right side of the plane for that view. This flight has already been cleared down to 4,000 feet, and the question is, will the heading that the approach controller provides lead to a path up the Hudson or over Manhattan itself? Here comes the heading.
In Delta 2396, flight heading 030.
030 Delta 2396.
030 is an excellent heading. From the position where the flight was assigned this heading, it will point the nose of the plane directly up the Hudson River. This means Manhattan will appear on the right side of the plane while flying northbound on the Hudson River at 4,000 feet on a 30-degree heading. This nearly negates the 3-hour delay, right? Well, this approach was supposed to be done during daylight conditions, and unfortunately, the only available seat on the right-hand side had a slightly obstructed view because of the engine. Also, at this point, we are in New York City looking at Brooklyn, but the flight attendants still have the cabin lights on from their final cabin safety check. Shouldn't that have been done at 10,000 feet? I feel that by now the light should have been turned off. This plane is at 4,000 feet and it's really hard to see out. But the good news is that the lights will be out by Manhattan. It's just a pretty late safety check. In the meantime, through the reflecting window, way in the distance we can see Jamaica Bay, and to its left is Kennedy Airport. JFK is in Queens, so here we see Brooklyn in the foreground and Queens in distance. We're well into the 5 boroughs now, and there are city lights all over. We're flying over Upper New York Bay, and the nose is pointed directly at the Hudson River by chance of the 30-degree heading. Sometimes pilots are asked to simply fly up the Hudson River visually, but this heading suffices. Just above the engine is the crowded downtown part of Brooklyn. In a moment, we'll see the East River on the east side of Manhattan, and because of the presence of the engine, we can only see the eastern side of the lower Manhattan area, but the very good news is that in a moment, the controller will issue the flight a 20-degree turn to the right. This will allow the wing to dip to afford a great view of Midtown and Central Park. Oh, and the cabin lights are finally off. This will help a lot. That's a really good view of the East River down there. Yes, there is a lot more to see, but let's just wait for the controller to turn the flight to the right to a heading of 50 degrees, which will reveal a lot more. The 50-degree heading sequences this flight properly behind the preceding aircraft. We'll remain at 4,000 feet here west of LaGuardia until the controller tells us to go lower. Now it's finally time for the 20-degree turn to the right from 30 degrees to 50 degrees.
Delta 2396 heading 050 to center 3000. 050 3000, L2396.
Well, for that short dip of the wing, it was worth it. We're still looking primarily at Manhattan's Upper East Side, despite the plane flying over the Upper West Side. In the distance, as Queens and LaGuardia Airport is visible. The new heading sequences this flight properly behind the preceding aircraft. This flight remains west of LaGuardia. This position allows departures to take off on runway 13 to the east without any conflict with arrivals. This flight is part of a right traffic pattern to runway 22, and the approach controller will turn this flight around the Bronx in a right turn to line up visually with runway 22. Since I couldn't obtain all air traffic control transmissions with New York approach control, we'll speed up the right-hand turn until the flight calls the tower.
Tower, L2396, visual right base 22.
Delta 2396, right check, giving traffic, holding part 13 in front of you, wind 1605, runway 22, by line.
Airline on 22, Delta 2396.
The approach controller cleared this flight for a visual approach to runway 22, and contact with the control tower was made while still turning right onto the final approach. The pilot had the airport in sight while on the approach control frequency, which allowed for the visual approach to occur. The tower indicated that traffic will hold and depart on runway 13. Runway 13 is the departure runway, and it intersects with runway 22, so the pilot is aware that he should see departing traffic pass right to left as they take off on runway 13. After this turn is completed, one final turn needs to be made so that the aircraft can align with the extended center line of runway 22, then fly straight into the runway. Upon landing, the controller will tell the pilot to turn left when able and to contact ground control. That will be the end of this video, but for the remainder of this video, I'll let you listen into unedited ATC and engine sounds, since it's rare for me to have a video where the seat is right next to the engine. Thanks so much for watching this video, and if you haven't done so already, I invite you to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on what's coming next. See you all very soon.
Southwest 2664, Captain Flight, good night.
First Southwest 2664, good day.
Captain 662, traffic 3 after runway 22, wind 1775, runway 13, come takeoff. 13, clear for takeoff, clear. 662. For Cat 4370, right down, runway 13, line of place, that plan 22.
Runway 13, line of place, 22.
Tower Frontier 3162 with you, visual 22.
Frontier Flight 3162, guys, heavily number 2 behind a 737 on a mile final, traffic hold part 13, part of you, wind 1705, runway 22, by line.
I got the traffic on a mile final on site, clear to land 22, 3162.
Brickyard 5662, Captain Flight, good night.
Departure Brickyard 5662.
2370, wind 1706, runway 13, so takeoff.
Runway 13, clear for takeoff. 437.
Back 2047, runway 13, line of point, next line, let's find out.
Flight 9 1 American 2047.
Delta 2396, turn left naval, catch 90, good night.
Left naval and ground, Delta 2396, good night.